This is the Outdoor Journey Show, where life takes you outdoors. The Outdoor Journey Show with Matt Gaddis and Ty Morgan, brought to you by Journey Hunts and the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation.
Matt Gaddis and Ty Morgan with the Outdoor Journey Show, where life takes you outdoors. We're going to talk today, Ty, about hunting in the West. You know, I grew up back in Pennsylvania, you know, so the West was a foreign sight to me, not something I got to visit.
You know, and I think ever since partnering up with you, I have lived in the West and I have hunted, and finding that there are so many different things that you don't know until you really start investigating. And there's a lot to learn about just certain regions that you need to be alerted to.
Yeah, and we have the privilege of having great guests in here week in and week out, and we get to learn, you know. I mean, really, in what we do, we get to learn about all kinds of things.
I say by the end of this year, I'm ready to go hunting again. You know?
There you go. There you go. You know, I hunted only one time when I was 12, and then I didn't hunt again until I was 25 years old. I had a friend have me pick up a bow, and just from there, it was just done. But
you were hooked.
Yeah, I was finished. I shot a bow one time, and I was like, that's it. This is what I want. But the next 15 years, I chased whitetail, you know, and I was in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Illinois, North Ontario, Canada, more states back east, you know. But then 9 years ago, I finally fulfilled a dream, and I came out west for mule deer and elk. And I'm telling you, Ty, it turned my world upside down.
Oh, yeah.
When you're from the east and...
When you're there, you got rolling hills.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
It's not really mountainous as much as it is, you know, as you get over here in the West.
Yeah, you know, I literally lived where I could see the Appalachian Trail on the Blue Mountain Range in Palmerton, Pennsylvania. But I'm telling you, that is a little hill compared to what you see out here, you know. And everything's hardwoods back there. And so you can't see long distances. And then I come here and I'm up on the mesa and I can see for miles and miles and miles. It just changes your perspective. You know, but I came out here and hunted and, you know, first trip out, I was able to shoot a mule deer and an elk and just got hooked. And then when you start looking at antelope and moose and Rocky Mountain sheep and mountain goats, you know, I just got hooked on the West and had to get out here. I mean, just had to get out here.
Well, there's so many different ways to hunt there. I mean, not that you couldn't do that on the East Coast or anything, but I think there's more open area to do hunting. And, you know, with I mean, just use Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, and Idaho. You know, I mean, those right there in a nutshell. And you add Texas in there, and yeah, you pretty much you're
do it all
set for a long time.
You know, and here's the tricky part, and this is really what we wanted to talk about today is it works differently in the West. You know, back east, you walk into a local archery store or hardware store, you pick up a license and you go to hunt. In the West, it's about bonus points and preference points, sometimes both in one system. You know, it's not easy when you don't know how to do that to all of a sudden be thrown into these Western states and your planning and your timing and money and you know, how many points do I need? And am I hunting a trophy zone or an over the counter? It gets a little tricky. You know, it really does.
Well, and I think it's all because everybody learned about our secret oasis here of hunting. And so, regulations, I think that's, it's good in that way because it does allow for, you know, that population to stay managed quite well. You know, otherwise a freedom of hunt, we wouldn't have anything here.
You're right. And even like sitting right here in Grand Junction, you know, you go a little bit to the west of here and you have a trophy zone in Unit 40. You go right out to the east just a few minutes, and you're in over-the-counter zones. And so all of that had to become learned from a guy from the east, you know, where you just don't know those things. So I instantly started doing research because I love to hunt, and I became dependent early on a magazine called The Hunting Fool. And they're just a source who tells you about all the Western states and what zones to hunt if you're looking for a trophy hunter, if you're just looking for something over the counter. But they really inform you a lot. And I depended on their research and followed their plan early on. And I still subscribe to the magazine. I get it because it's a good magazine. It's good information. But I found out now that once an area is highlighted in the Hunting Fool, people just flock to it. I mean, it becomes hunted hard, and that little secret gem is no longer secret, you know? Yeah. So it really becomes a tough situation once they put it out there. So the last few years, I shifted gears, and I became independent doing research based on relationships and people who live in the areas, trying to literally find individuals to hook up with and talk.
We've talked about that numerous times. It's finding those mentors, if you will, that share areas where they've hunted in their past, and man, you can really build a nice base to have a great and very successful hunting career, if you will.
Oh, absolutely. For example, like right now, I have 7 points for all species in Nevada. 2 weeks ago, I had actually drawn a hunt this year, but I turned it back in because I'm going to have to go to Africa. So I'm going to have to suffer and go to Africa and miss my Nevada hunt. But really, the thing about Nevada is it is well managed, and they don't give a lot of tags. And I found a guy about 2 or 3 weeks ago through a friend of a friend, and we've hooked up. And this guy is going to be instrumental because he tells me what an individual living in state in the area knows.
Right.
And he's willing to share it because he knows I'm not going to go share it with everybody and their brother and try and get everybody coming to the area. So you keep it low key, gain the information you need, and then hunt those areas. And he's even willing to go hunt them with me. So next year we'll be looking at Nevada for definitely some species. I don't know which one we're going to go after, but one of the 7 species there.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yep. I apply for all species right now in Colorado and in Nevada. And then I apply for certain species in Wyoming, Utah, New Mexico, Kansas, Idaho, Iowa, Nebraska, Montana. And I have a system on my computer that I keep track of all those points, where I'm at, when I should be looking to draw a tag, not just put in for points, and when I should consider hunting each species within those states. It's time consuming, but really, if you're serious about hunting the West, that's what it takes. And that's really the kind of game planning that you need to do.
Right.
So, it's just an interesting perspective.
And gosh, if you don't, I guess, plan ahead, I mean, it's a lot of like, these African hunts that we've talked about. Yep. You have this slated, but if you don't know the right tools, you're going to have a very unpleasant hunt. Maybe successful, but not as pleasant as it could be if it's done right and with some proper planning ahead of time. And if you are an avid hunter, certainly planning ahead is definitely a key thing to do.
Well, and you have to. I guess that's the difference from people like myself from back east. There's not any real planning necessary. I mean, you could decide 2 weeks before season that you're going to go and hunt whitetail in Pennsylvania, and you're okay.
Right.
Out here, you can't do that. I mean, you can in over-the-counter areas, but if you're really looking to hunt some trophy animals and really, really hunt a specific species and you want, a Boone and Crockett or a Pope and Young animal, and that's your goal, you've got to plan. And it does take time. It's time-consuming.
Yeah. Every time I think about this, it's like Nebraska. That would be a state I'd like to hunt in. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun.
And I'll tell you what, Nebraska's got some great things going on. I mean, there's great mule deer, there's great whitetail turkey like I've never seen before. I mean, I've seen flocks of over 1,000 turkey when I've been in Nebraska. It's crazy. And here's a cool thing. For youth hunters, $6 for an out-of-state non-resident youth hunter, and they can hunt a whitetail or a mule deer buck and a whitetail doe on one license for $6.
That's
great
pretty
state,
amazing.
Great planning for youth.
Oh man, absolutely. I gear my son up for that.
Absolutely. It's a journey that it's good. And they have a month-long muzzleloader season, the whole month of December, that is really special if you do that with a kid. It's a great opportunity.
Absolutely.
Lots of animals.
Absolutely. Let's talk about our hunter's email bag question of the week. It comes from Troy out of Illinois. Troy, listened to our segment, How to Choose a Great Outfitter, and heard the interview with Doug Benefield of IC, and asked, what recourse do you have to have when a hunt goes astray, if you will?
That's a tough question, because sometimes if you've not done your homework and you've booked a hunt and you've just gone, you've not really looked into it, and you have a bad hunt, there really isn't a lot of recourse that you have.
Right.
I mean, you've paid for a hunt, they've given you a hunt. It may not be a quality hunt, but that's why companies like my company, Journey Hunts, and other out there that do the research for you are very, very important.
It's
because
making sure you vet those outfitters to make sure that they are going to give you that hunt that you deserve, because you're paying your hard-earned money for that.
Absolutely. So there really isn't a lot of recourse. I'm sorry about that, Troy, but it's just the way it goes. So
here's the thing. There's no recourse for sending that email in, except we will send you a knife, compliments of the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, and thank you for your email. If you have a question as well, email Matt@JourneyHunts.com. We'll answer it each week right here on the show.
Good deal. When we come back, we're going to shift gears and we're going to talk about spot and stock hunting in the West. We have Cody Nelson, who's the manager of the Outdoorsman Gear for the Western Hunter.
This is the Outdoor Journey Show, where life takes you outdoors.